This is Michael Woodward, and this is Season 2, Episode 105 of the Jumble Think Podcast.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast, where we interview amazing people who turned their dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we'll share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. If you're new to the Jumble Think Podcast, or if you've been listening to it for a long time and haven't subscribed already, make sure you head on over to wherever you like to listen to podcasts and click that magical subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode of the Jumble Think Podcast. For iTunes, jumblethink.com/iTunes. For Spotify, jumblethink.com/Spotify. Take you right to the app. While you're there, leave us a rating and review too. Now let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. We have a really fun episode lined up for you today. It is the last episode of Season 2. But you don't have to wait long for Season 3. We're going to get into that and some other great things in today's episode. Before we do that, we always like to take a moment and thank the people who make the podcast possible. Our sponsors, OpportunityInChina.com, Floxy, and Mighty Travels. Here's a little bit more about our friends over at Mighty Travels. How much time do you spend looking for the right flight for your trip? Do you spend hours searching all of the different travel websites only to find out that once you booked your ticket, you missed out on a better price? Well, our friends over at Mighty Travels are here to help you. They want to make sure that you get notifications in real time so that you can score the best tickets at the best price, saving on average $190 per ticket. Well, they are doing cool stuff, so you want to make sure to check them out. Swing on over to mightytravels.com/jumblethink. That's mightytravels.com/jumblethink to learn more about how they can help you know when the best fares are hitting the market so you can grab them up before they're gone. We also want to thank our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com for sponsoring today's episode. Now, have you been looking for a way to change your career or social prospects? Do you see the world around you changing and haven't quite figured out what path you should take? You are not alone in seeking opportunity. Visit OpportunityInChina.com for access to scholarships to attend university in China. Or, if you have a bachelor's degree already, OpportunityInChina.com provides access to jobs in the educational sector all across China. Now, working in China is not only often well paid, but it will place you among 1/5 of the world's population, boosting your social network and bringing you more deeply into the story of globalization, ultimately opening up doors you never knew existed. So seize your opportunity now. Visit their website at OpportunityInChina.com. They have a great podcast. Check that out too by searching for Opportunity in China podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's episode. Here's a little bit more about them. You have a killer idea for the perfect graphic or website, but you feel stuck and overwhelmed by the cost and skills it takes to create those ideas. Maybe you lack the time you need to create them. No matter the obstacle, it's time to get that idea created. And our friends over at Floxy can help you create those killer graphics, the perfect website, or even create the copy that's used on your next ad, all at a low cost, starting at $349 per month. Their on-demand, unlimited graphic design, web, and copywriting are backed by a 7-day money-back guarantee for all new accounts. And you'll be working with a dedicated US-based project manager assigned to your account. There are no hidden fees, and billing is month to month. So check them out for your next project and for the project after that too. You can find them at floxy.com, FLOCKSY.com. Let them know that Jumblethink sent you. We have a great episode lined up for you today. It's actually our 207th episode over 2 seasons. And our last episode for Season 2, as I mentioned before, you don't have to wait long for Season 3. It's coming at you this Monday. Why are we so excited about Season 3? Well, we are making some changes. We're going to be doing many of the interviews in person and incorporating video to those episodes. So you're going to be able to start seeing those on YouTube and Facebook and other places. You're going to be able to see those live and in real time in some of those interviews. You're also going to be able to capture them as video episodes too, instead of just audio. So if you like consuming your content in the video format, that is coming in season 3. We kick off the new season on Monday with our first guest for season 3, Kendrick Gwynn. He is the founder and CEO of Republic. They are bringing investments, what you would see in Silicon Valley, those big tech startups and cool startups where, millions of dollars are being generated by these companies. Republic is bringing that to the everyday person so that you can become an investor in these tech startups and startups beyond the tech sphere. Some of the other guests that we have coming up in the next couple weeks are Ben Flanner, the co-founder of Brooklyn Grange. He is helping to reinvent farming in the urban world. They are taking over rooftops in Brooklyn, Queens, and throughout New York City, turning them into urban farms and doing really cool things. That's going to be a fun episode. We also have Matthew Isles coming on. He is one of the founders of Civil. They are changing how news is funded, how it gets to you, and how you can become part of telling that story. That's going to be a lot of fun. Other people to be looking out for in this season are going to be Erwin McManus, the lead pastor of Mosaic and author. We're also having Stuart Day, the guy behind Stuart Day Guitars. They're doing some innovative and really cool things on how they're building guitars. We have Rock Thomas coming on and LeVar Burton. It's going to be a great season with a lot of guests lined up to really challenge you to chase those ideas and dreams. Beyond some of the great guests we have lined up, we want you to be part of our story too. We want you to be a part of the Jumblethink community. You may be asking, well, what does that mean and how can I do that? Well, number one, we want your questions to go directly to our guests. We want them to be able to engage with what you want to know and answer your questions. So what we've started to do is on Facebook, on the Jumblethink Facebook page, we have begun to share, hey, we're interviewing X guest. Make sure you leave us a question for them, and then we ask those questions and incorporate them into the episode. It's a new segment that we're working out, but we want you to have a voice in this podcast. So head on over to facebook.com/Jumblethink and start following us. And beyond that, ask your questions when we let you know about guests we have coming up. We want them answered, and we want you to be a part of it. Beyond that, we're also going to open up a special phone number where you can call in and you can actually leave us a voice question for our upcoming guests. That way we can even bring your voice right into the episode, right in, so that you can ask the guest the question. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're excited to bring you into that story. Beyond that, we also want to wrestle with your ideas and dreams. We want to help you come up with solutions. And so we're working out with new ideas around how we can do that and how we can bring your ideas and dreams to life through the podcast too. But we want to go so much deeper than even that. We want you to become part of the Jumblethink tribe, part of our family. Become really good friends and wrestle through the ideas and dreams that you have. We want you to find your created purpose. And in that, we are looking for new ways to use social media, to use events, and other things we're going to be doing to help encourage you along that journey of chasing dreams and ideas. We always say isolation is the death march of entrepreneurship. And so isolation needs to stop. You need to become part of the tribe, part of the community, so that you can go so much deeper into the conversation, be challenged, and make those dreams and ideas become a reality. So first thing you need to do, head on over to Jumblethink. You can check out our links to social channels. Just follow us for now, become our friends, and then as we explore these new ideas, as we try new things, we want you to be a part of that. You can also join our email newsletter. That way you are up to date about things going on at Jumblethink. And of course, we have idea camps coming up in 2019 in October, and we want you to be a part of that. Jumblethink.com/idea camps. These are 3-day events that will challenge you to dream big, to turn those dreams and ideas into reality, and really give you the tools, the roadmap on how you can do that successfully. So head on over to jumblethink.com/idea camps to learn more about those. As always, if you have ideas about how we can make the podcast better for you, how it can serve you better, drop me an email. It comes right to me, mike@jumblethink.com. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear the challenges you're facing and how we can help solve those for you. So just drop me that email. Let's start the conversation and see how we can take Jumblethink, the podcast, idea camps, and everything else we're working on to the next level and specifically serve you to make those ideas and dreams become a reality. One of the things that we haven't really talked about for season 3 that we're going to try to do, something we're toying around with, so I'm giving you a sneak peek into something that we're processing and figuring out, is we'd love to do some live events, live podcasts where we can have you come in and join an audience and be part of the episode so that you can ask your questions in person, so you can have access to these amazing guests. So as we book out some guests in the summer and late fall, we're looking forward to bringing them into a real world experience where we're all in the same room, that you can join the live event with us and be a part of the actual podcast itself. So look forward to sharing more about that in the weeks to come as we explore those ideas and possibilities. And I'd love to hear what you think about that too. So let us know. Now we're going to take a moment and pause here, thank some sponsors. In a moment, we'll be back to talk about some of our favorite moments from season 2. We are so excited about our new sponsor, Mighty Travels. They're doing really great things. Here's a little bit more about them. I don't know about you, but I love to travel. I just don't like looking through all the websites to find the right fares to the right locations that I want to travel to. Well, our friends over at mightytravels.com are helping you get better rates to the places you want to travel, often saving up to $190 per ticket. You should check out mightytravels.com/jumblethink to learn more about how you can use their service to get the right trips booked for you at incredible rates. So swing on over, check it out, mightytravels.com/jumblethink. We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy. Here's a little bit more about them. Floxy is your unlimited graphic design, web development, and copywriting team. It's time to stop thinking about those ideas, the next killer graphic, the next perfect website, the perfect copy for your ads, and start getting them created. Their plans start at $349 a month, no hidden fees, month-to-month billing, and you can cancel at any time. So for all of your web development, copywriting, and graphic designs, make sure you check out Floxy at floxy.com. That's FLOCKSY.com. We also want to thank our friends over at opportunityinchina.com. Here's a little bit more from them.
At the dawn of the 19th century, forward-thinking people moved to the commercial centers of Europe. Moving into the 20th century, America welcomed millions into the land of freedom and opportunity. It is now the 21st century. Many of the successes and fortunes of our generations will be made in China. To learn how you can seize opportunity in China, follow the Opportunity in China podcast. The Opportunity in China podcast is available anywhere podcasts are streamed, or you can visit our website at opportunityinchina.com.
We are back to talk a little bit about our favorite moments from season 2 of the Jumblethink podcast. When I was looking over our roster of guests from season 2, it made me smile to see so many incredible people. But the favorite episodes I had in the episode were usually ones I had personal connections to, whether they were friends that I've known for a long time and have that personal connection, or whether I look up to these people for some reason, whether I'm a fan of their work or their message or what they're creating. I just resonate with what they're doing. And for me, those were the guests that just got me the most excited. I wanted to share a couple clips of those guests. The first guest is a guy named Kerry Burkett. I've known Kerry since I was young. We went to church together, and he recently retired from the local NPR station. He's had a career in the world of comics. He's done a lot of really cool stuff, and now he's writing a new chapter of what he's doing with creating his own animation studio and doing really cool things. I wanted to share a clip of that episode with you right here. So take a moment, listen, and I hope it encourages you.
For me, I think that I don't know that I would call myself significant, but I do think that there's a purpose in what I do. I think that the purpose is a God-given purpose. and that it relates to communicating and inspiring, encouraging, and just sparking people in different ways. I'm not sure that it is something that has a profound impact, but I think it plays a part. I think that everything you do, every little choice that you make, is significant in its way, in that it shapes you in what direction you're going. And I think that's what I'm hoping my stories do, that they can have an impact. I've had people, I wrote comic books years ago, and I've had people call me up or send me email and say, I read this story of yours back in 1983, and I just want to tell you, it really enjoyed it, it entertained me, and I've never forgotten it. And that kind of, it gives you a sense that, okay, somebody somewhere got it, So in small ways, that's the kind of impact I think I like to have.
I'm a big fan of the TV show Scorpion, and it is based on a guy named Walter O'Brien. We had the privilege of having the real Walter O'Brien on to tell us his story, to tell us the true story of Scorpion. Here's a little outtake from that episode.
So I was lucky in that when I got into technology in 1988, there almost was none. There was a very few computers. The only people into it were geeks because it was unusable and unfriendly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a purist society in terms of everybody who was into it was into it from the point of view of programming and creating things. And what's happened over the years is now it's become ubiquitous, like TV or cell phone, where it's just something you use.
Yeah.
And people and the younger generation are so used to growing up just using it, they almost don't think about the fact that they can create it and they can change it and they can invent it. So instead of spending 8 hours a day taking selfies, spend an hour doing a coding class and learn how to write an app that takes better selfies.
Yeah.
Don't just kind of become the sheep that follow and use what's out there, but become the people who change it and reinvent it and move it around. But the other part of that is that takes focus. Anything significant I've done in my life took me about 3 to 7 years of focus.
Wow.
The big inventions like SenGen and others took me about 18 hours a day for 7 years to produce that stuff.
Wow.
Now, today, BuzzFeed say that the average attention span of millennials on down is about 7 seconds.
Wow.
The concern here is if you can't knuckle down, focus, have discipline, and stick with a hard problem for a long time, you're never going to invent anything cool. And you're never going to change the world.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest concern. It's not that they're not smart enough or anything else. It's that they're so distracted with so many advertising impressions, and they're spending so much time playing with and using the technology they're given rather than changing it or creating it, that there's a smaller and smaller percentage of the folks actually able to change, to make a difference or invent something. All of them are just users.
Okay.
And that just means they're the suckers that are paying for stuff.
Mm.
Don't be the user, be the creator.
Early on when I started the podcast, there was a list of people I wanted to have on the podcast. One of those people was a guy named Eric Reed. He is an amazing musician, well known as a jazz piano player. Beyond that, he is just a genuinely nice guy. Here's a little clip from that episode. For you, how have these different influences crafted your own sound? How has that really begin to give you your own voice through your playing, that I'm listening and this is Eric, and it's influenced by his past, it's influenced by his present, and it's being influenced by the future he wants to create? So how has this intertwining of different legacies that you've lived begin to impact your playing over the long term?
It's basically just an extension of being human.
That's good.
When I'm down south with my father's relatives and my mother's relatives, we all like to sit around and laugh and talk about old times, and these are country folks. They all live on the farm. They all live on the farm. Nobody lives in the city.
Right.
They all live in the country.
Yeah.
So it's like another world. So we sit and we laugh and we sit on the porch and we, we're not sitting around with overalls and hayseed, but it's just a lot of outdoor sitting.
Got the moonshine.
You can hear the hogs. Yeah, and the moonshine, right, sitting there playing with the jugs. It's not hee-haw.
Straw cigar out the mouth.
Yes. No, there's nothing like that, but not far from it. But you can hear the hogs grunting in the background, and you can just smell the fresh air. And we sit around, and my brother and I always wind up being, a great source of entertainment because, we both have my father's sense of humor. My father, they all loved my father because my father made everybody laugh.
Right.
And my uncle, my father's brother, would always say, Chip, your brother, he looks like Dave. My father's name was David. Mm. He looks like Dave, but Eric, you act like Dave. And, we, as children, and you'll see this, the older your children get, you'll see where the children, of course, it's natural for children to possess qualities of both parents.
Yeah.
That's just natural.
Yeah.
You're not trying to make your child act like you. He's just watching you.
Right.
And my mom and my sister, they'll say to me every now and again, you look just like your dad when you smiled like that, or when you made that movement with your shoulders. Or my mom says, you walk just like your father. He didn't have no butt either. So things like that. So in music, it's the same thing. I will always be an extension of the music that I love. I will always be an extension of the things that I heard when I heard Glenn Gould play the Goldberg Variations for the first time. That will stay in me forever, even though it might not be explicitly manifested in what I'm doing. The essence of it is still there. The very first time I heard Art Tatum play Georgia on My Mind, that's always somewhere in the recesses when I'm playing. Even if I'm playing something like, an original composition or anything from my own compositions from my album A Light in Darkness.
Yeah.
The ghosts, the ancestors, they're always there hovering around. The Bible says, I think it's Apostle Paul again, that says, we're encompassed about with a great cloud of witnesses.
Right. Yes.
These are our ancestors and our loved ones that have gone on before us, cheering us on.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, man, keep going.
Yeah.
You can do this. You got this. Yes, I know the sound guy was a jerk to you. Yes, I know the flight was a little bit late. Yes, I know you had to sit in the middle seat. Yes, I know they only had a full-size bed versus a king. These are first world problems, by the way.
Yes.
But, I know you and the singer got into it at the sound check. I know they didn't have, Arrowhead water. They only had Evian water. But when you get onto the stage, once you're on the stage, all that stuff becomes just something else. It becomes fluff.
One of the other highlights for me was the opportunity to interview Phil Rosenthal. I don't know about you, but many of us end up finishing our days watching Netflix. He's created a show and stars in a show called Somebody Feed Phil. And he also was the creator behind Everybody Loves Raymond. He's done a lot of other stuff that's a lot of fun. Here's a little clip from that episode. We in America often put off the things we want to do.
Yes.
For one day, for retirement, for when everything's perfect. And
I want to speak to that.
Yeah, we never get to one day.
Exactly right. So my message, first of all, travel. Second of all, travel now.
Yes.
Why now? Because you're never going to be as young as you are right now.
That's right.
So go while things still are working, while your legs still work, while you still have breath to go up the steps of the Spanish Steps in Rome, let's say. While you still can take a hike. To see the world the way it's meant to be seen means you have to be a little ambulatory. You need to walk. You need to go while you're still young enough to go. Don't wait until you're so old that everything is a chore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is very important.
I agree so much. Years ago, not too many years ago, but several.
Yeah.
I went to Hong Kong by myself. It was before I was married, before I had kids, and I just went.
What made you go? Why there?
Well, I went to serve. Actually, I went to work with some orphans and refugees.
How great
and
are you?
Things like that.
Wow.
And I also went in just to experience. And I've been other places around the world. And what was amazing to me is when you just go and you break the routine of what you do every day,
yes,
it awakens something inside of you.
This is an experience that I try to tell everyone about, which is you go and you get something that you cannot buy, which is something that stays with you the rest of your life. What do I mean? You're walking down a street in a city. It can be Hong Kong. It can be Florence, Italy. You're marveling at how beautiful it is, right? And how different it is.
Yeah.
And that changes you fundamentally. You don't even realize it. You're just experiencing it. You're just happy to be there. Sure enough, and I'll bet this has happened to you. You come home and you're walking down your street and suddenly you're appreciating your street.
Right.
Oh, look how my street is. Because now why? You have something to compare it to.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it's better or worse than where you just were.
Yeah.
It just is now in juxtaposition to where you just were, and you appreciate it for what it is.
Yes.
This is an invaluable experience. You can't put a price on this.
Yeah.
Because what does it do? Changes your mind.
Right.
Your point of view. And your mind is something that's going to be with you for a while.
So
why not invest in that mind?
Yes.
It has been such a privilege to have incredible guests on the podcast. And if you haven't caught their episodes, go back and check it out. There is a wealth of encouragement, a wealth of knowledge and experience, and some great challenges and tools to help you on that journey of chasing big ideas and dreams. In a moment, we'll be right back to continue the conversation about Season 2. I want to take a moment to simply say thank you. Thank you for tuning into our podcast. It means so much to me that you would take time out, whether it's during your busy commute or listening in the mornings or evenings at home. The fact that you would tune into our podcast and listen, it means so much to me. It encourages me to know that there are other people out there that have big dreams and ideas, that want to see those dreams and ideas become a reality. So thank you. Thank you for taking a risk on our podcast. Thank you for tuning in every week and checking out our great episodes, whether it's with a guest or talking about a topic. And thank you for taking the time to encourage us along the way. Your messages, whether through social media, emails, or comments, mean so much to me. So thank you. Thank you for being part of our story. Thank you for encouraging us. And thank you for tuning in. Now let's jump into our final part of today's episode. All right, so we talked about some of our guests, and we've had tons of incredible guests, but we've also talked about some incredible topics, important topics in the journey of chasing dreams and ideas. I just wanted to encourage you with 2 of those episodes. Now, I'm not going to play clips from those episodes, but I'm going to do a real short recap of those. Recently, I talked about created purpose in one of our episodes. Now, you might be asking, what is created purpose? Created purpose is finding out what you were born to do. For me, this story starts with a story from the Bible where Jesus walks up to a woman at the well. And they're talking, and he says, "Can you get me some water?" She says, "If you knew who I was, you wouldn't be asking for water. You wouldn't even be talking to me." And he says, "But I do know who you are." And he began to speak into her identity of who she was. And he saw her. And then beyond that, he then went on to say, "You know what, though? You're created for so much more." And he addressed the issue of he is a Jew, she is a Gentile, she can't worship in their place of worship. They can't worship together. And he says, but a time is coming now is when true worshipers will worship in spirit and truth. As I studied that when I was a pastor, one of the things I realized very early on is that spirit and truth have multiple definitions in the languages that they originally were in, whether it was Greek or Aramaic. And so spirit can be defined as one's innermost desire and truth with all honesty before God.
I personally like that translation better than some of the other ones that are used often, because my belief is that the ultimate source of worship, the ultimate place of worship to our God, to Christ, is a place that simply says, I am going to step into the fullness of who you've created me to be, and I'm going to allow that to be my offering, my worship to you. So created purpose is this place of finding true identity, not who people tell you you are, not even sometimes who you perceive yourself to be, but it's finding that true place of identity, who you were honestly created to be, and then offering that as the fullness of your life. Going at it and saying, you know what? I know it's going to be a hard journey. I know that things are going to be difficult. I know that sometimes it's going to challenge me to push into the unknown or into my fears, but the journey will be worth it. And then in that, I'll be offering something more than selling out to a typical situation, whether it's what you're expected to do or what people tell you you should do, and instead choosing the journey to step into who you were created to be. So that episode is really dear to my heart because I believe that all of us are created for purpose. Now, it doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be a world leader or to start the next tech startup or to even be a billionaire or millionaire. It can be as simple as being a great parent, being involved in your community, in your church, in your town, in your school, to be a person that loves well. It could be to start a business or a dream idea or dream. It could be something much bigger. You could be the next billionaire or millionaire and be a good steward of that and offer that as your sacrifice to God. Anyway, for me, the journey of created purpose stems from a spiritual place. For you, it might not, but I want to encourage you that I believe you were created for something special. And that's what we talked about in the episode around created purpose. If you want to check that out, make sure to go check it out. It's simply called Created Purpose. We also talked about a theory that I've created. It's called the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments. I love this because it is the scientific method for entrepreneurship or dream chasing or idea formation. It is the way to get there. And in that episode, I go deep into 5 steps to making your dream or idea a reality. Step number 1 is to form a question or goal. What do you want to learn or achieve in this micro experiment? Step number 2 is to set a time limit. Usually these micro experiments need to be done in very short period of times. They're iterations on where you're at. There are little steps you can take to see if what you're doing is right or if you need to pivot or evolve the idea. So set a time limit. And this is something that will help you stay focused, and it will help you see an end game goal in the potential future. And then the third step is to run the experiment. It's time to get your hands dirty. No matter if you fail or succeed, just keep going in your experiment. Document your experience. How did it go? What worked? What didn't work? What failed? What succeeded? Write it all down. And then the next step, step 4, is to stop and reflect. Part of the process is learning. Often we are in a hurry to get to the next thing. So many people would say, I've run my experiment. I'm going to do the next experiment. I'm going to keep going. But you need to stop and take a moment to see how things impact you. What did you learn through the experiment? What worked? What didn't work? What did you enjoy? What did you hate? Reflect on the experiment. Make observations. And then step number 5, rinse and repeat. Continue the process. If you succeed the first time, then take the next step in that journey of chasing the idea and dream. What is the next thing you need to do to get there? If it failed, adjust and try again. Or change directions and evolve the idea and dream. Micro experiments give you an easy tool in your arsenal to making ideas and dreams a reality. So if you missed that episode or want to go deeper into that, make sure you check that out. It's called the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments. It's a fun episode, and it gives you real-world, simple tips, simple tools that you can use in the journey of chasing ideas and dreams. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. It's been a lot of fun to change it up and do something a little bit different today and talk about our past and talk about our future. Season 2 has been incredible. It's been so much fun, filled with amazing guests, great topics, most importantly, connecting with you and encouraging you to chase your dreams and ideas. I also want to thank our sponsors, OpportunityInChina.com, Floxy, and Mighty Travels. Make sure to go to support them as they support this podcast so that we can bring it to you. I hope that today's episode has challenged you to think about your dreams and ideas, to encourage you to take the steps to move forward. One of the common themes we hear from our guests is that the best time to start is today. So I want to encourage you, think about your dream and idea. Maybe use some of those tools from the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments and begin taking the steps to make your dreams and ideas a reality. Not only is it great for you, but the world needs dreamers right now. The world needs idea makers. The world needs people who are willing to take a risk and step up and move into an unknown future to create a better world. Not only do you rob from yourself, but you rob from others when you don't chase your created purpose and find your place in this world. So today, get out there, chase those dreams and ideas, and change the world around you.
Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.